Hi there, I'm the Myth Keeper. Welcome back to my channel. This week we're talking about the Outer Sphere. This is a continuation of my series on the planar cosmology of Pathfinder. The Outer Sphere contains all the planes where a soul might go after the death of a mortal. This time we're talking about the good planes and the lawful planes. So we're talking about heaven, Nirvana, Elysium, and the plane of Axis. I think this is some fun content. Enjoy.
Heaven. Heaven is where the souls that Pharasma judges to be lawful good are sent after judgment. Heaven is a realm of perfect goodness and exquisite order, and its residents see the two as inextricably linked. Righteousness requires structure, but structure is pointless without a just and noble goal. It is a realm of crusaders striving to help others, by word or by sword, as well as those of pure heart who simply seek to follow the rules and foster harmony through love and service. Most creatures perceive heaven as an enormous mountain with an inaccessible, distant peak, yet this description is deceptively simple, as the mountain slopes can simultaneously contain seemingly endless plains, vast lakes, yawning canyons, or whatever else it might need to better accommodate petitioners from millions of different environments. Distances shift depending on the needs of the traveler, and even the same specific location can be perceived differently according to the conceptual frameworks of the viewer. Regardless of its appearance, heaven always consists of 7 tiers, each immeasurably vast in its own right, and organized by metaphysical purpose and philosophy rather than any sort of relative value. All but the topmost tiers are overseen by powerful entities called stewards, each with a title specific to the role they fill. While these entities are never the most powerful on their tier, such is heaven's regard for proper governance that even deities acknowledge the rights and responsibilities of these officials. Heaven's 7 tiers, ordered from lowest to highest, and their stewards are as follows. Threshold. The threshold includes both of heaven's border fortresses and the area just within their gates. Its current stewards are Lord of the Wall Arqueros and Lord of the Gate Julera Twice Crowned. Prolera. Heaven's 2nd tier is the mustering ground for its vast crusader armies, overseen by Corennial Stormcaller, the voice of the Shining Host. Clarion. Watched over by High Preceptor Homani, the introspective petitioners of this realm are devoted to duty, learning, and self-purification, improving their minds and spirits to better aid heaven in its goals. Requies. This pastoral region is home to those souls worthy of heaven, yet uninterested in joining heaven's holy crusades. Watching over their idyllic cities and villages is the Shepherd of Requies, a role currently filled by the Imperial Lord Andoletta. Illumis. Home of the righteous scholars dedicated to fully understanding heaven's values and translating them into policy, this layer serves as heaven's center of moral and philosophical debate, administered by Chief Moderator Zocariel. Udica. The center of heaven's government and administration, Udica is run collectively by the Council of Vision, the head, the heart, and the hand, who represent knowledge and wisdom, love and salvation, and righteous military action, respectively. The Garden. A place of mysteries even the deities don't completely understand, this small garden floats untended and uninhabited above the rest of the mountain. Heaven's denizens include Archons. Heaven's guardians and primary decision-makers are the Archons, beings of perfect lawful goodness. Archons understand that organization is key to preventing the forces of evil and chaos from taking over, and that individual desires are less important than serving the collective good. Within heaven, their focus is often on teaching and training petitioners, yet their commitment to serving their cause doesn't stop them from laughing often and taking joy in their friends and work. Angels. Less common than Archons, but still a vital part of heaven's society, are the angels, celestials with a more flexible attitude towards law and order than their Archon kin. Often serving alongside Archons, but generally operating independently, angels help raise important questions and prevent the ossification that can accompany too much deference to authority. The elect. The bulk of heaven's population is made up of its petitioners, often referred to as the elect. These judged souls of the worthy dead come to heaven both as a reward for lives well lived and to help promote heaven's doctrine of loving justice. Under the guidance of the resident celestials, many of the elect eventually transform into angels or archons, yet even those who never make the transition often find satisfaction in aiding heaven's goals through honest labor. In addition to archons, angels, and petitioners, heaven is the home to various divinities, including the imperial lords, a broad category of demigods, elder angels, and archons who have achieved a certain level of divinity, as well as full-blown divinities such as Iomade, Erastil, and Torag. Important locations in heaven include the Alabaster Passage. Visitors to heaven are usually advised to appear in the fields of serenity surrounding heaven's walls, where long lines of petitioners wait patiently to prove their respect for law and approach the gates for admission. Those who seek to skip this step and enter heaven via magic without a direct invitation often find themselves on the Alabaster Passage, a white flagstone path surrounded by heavily armed archons. If the visitor is of an appropriately lawful and moral character, the archons offer greetings and guidance. All others are immediately detained. The Chambers of Repentance. This prison complex deep within Heaven's Mountain holds fiends and other wicked individuals who for various reasons Heaven believes may yet be capable of redemption. The prisoners are ministered to by a variety of archons, including several redeemed, former fiends who have shed their evil ways to become celestials. One of the most outspoken of these volunteer reformers is Arethusiel the Chained, a former apostate devil who now appears as a beautiful angel with chained wings and eyes that weep blood. Forgeheart. Torag's realm isn't part of any specific tier of heaven, but rather exists as a series of vast caverns within the mountain itself. From here, the souls of his devoted smiths rejoice in an eternity of challenging and satisfying labor, crafting armor and weapons for heaven's armies, while his warriors maintain heaven's subterranean defenses, protecting the mountain from abyssal incursions and other threats that seek to tunnel up from below. The Grand Court of Heaven. This ornate complex stands on heaven's sixth tier, and is where heaven refines its laws and precedents and hears cases appealed from the 77 circuit courts that roam the plains. A regularly rotating roster of 71 angels, archons, deities, and imperial lords staff the Grand Court. Heaven's Shore. Often jokingly called Heathen Shore, this city is heaven's largest trade port and the capital of the tier of the Threshold. It is also the only heavenly city that allows a resident population of foreigners. Situated on the mountain's first tier, Heaven's Shore is where people of good intent from all planes, including the material plane, can come to petition heaven, study underneath angels and archons, and trade for heavenly goods. While Heaven's Shore is heavily guarded to ensure no unauthorized visitors pass beyond its terraced garden borders, most of Heaven's residents appreciate the port's necessity, both as a means of trading for goods other planes can make more cheaply, or as an opportunity for unofficial diplomacy and education. The town caters to transient traders, and the resident population is primarily outsiders, ranging from Jinn and Nephilim to Mercanes and Axiomites, with a smaller population of mortals who've been allowed to set up shop. The city is extremely safe, welcoming, and well-run, if somewhat bureaucratic, administered expertly by an Archon Council of Oversight. Mirialin, City of Justice Seekers. Famed for its dedicated agnosticism, this elegant metropolis on the fourth tier is one of that level's largest cities, catering to those pure-hearted and law-abiding souls who refuse to choose a particular god. Within the city's walls, its leaders insist on maintaining their independence from heaven's hierarchy, yet they remain so steadfast in their dedication to heaven's principles that the Archons see no choice but to accept them as allies rather than subjects. The Summerlands. Wide swaths of picturesque wilderness characterize Erastil's realm, broken up by islands of cultivated fields and small villages. Here, petitioners recreate idealized versions of the communities they knew in life, with families and neighbors pulling together to work the land and welcome each new generation that arrives. While the oldest members slowly fade away and disappear into the landscape, their spirits become part of the land that supports the people. Breaking up this pattern are three large trade cities, Erastar, Far Market, and the Homestead, each centered around a portal that flickers between other planes for the purpose of trade. These portals are a subject of much debate within Heaven, as they could potentially allow enemies direct access to Heaven's heart, but Erastil remains unbending in the belief that its petitioners need foreign trade and exposure to remind them what makes their communities unique. As a compromise, each of these portals lies at the center of a walled market, a series of nested stone domes, 3 layers deep and painted to resemble lush fields and open sky, staffed by Archon defenders ready to repel any attempted invasion. Swordhome. Iomede's realm lies on Heaven's second tier, a peaceful but militant land of castles and keeps whose style draws heavily from Aradin's former realm and axis. Within these castles, Archons train dutifully for their role in Heaven's Great War, while petitioners from a huge variety of mortal races coordinate their efforts to support the heavenly crusaders. Nirvana. Nirvana is where souls that Pharasma judges to be neutral good are sent after judgment. Nirvana is a realm of rolling fields, lush forests, deep blue seas, tall mountains, and hidden valleys. Its pastoral wilds are home to intelligent animal petitioners, animalistic Agathians, shining angels, and other creatures of pure good. Nirvana holds mysterious secrets to higher states of existence, and pilgrims and inhabitants alike seek to explore and unearth those mysteries through their interactions on the plane. Nirvana's denizens include the Agathians. Agathians are a race of outsiders that incorporate animal features into their forms. The vast majority appear as anthropomorphized natural beasts. Unlike angels, who often travel the plains as messengers, archons, who are often called to wage war upon fiends far afield, or azatas, who revel in the bliss of exploration, Agathians rarely leave their home plane, save for when they are conjured elsewhere. Agathians come across as mysterious and wise, full of strange aphorisms and animal-themed metaphors. They generally default to the serenity of an enlightened community of mutual respect, but quickly transition to animal ferocity, speed, and strength when necessary to protect themselves and others from forces of evil. Their primary demeanor of peaceful wisdom and patience allows them to serve as mediators in disputes among other celestials, with both free-spirited azatas and order-minded archons often agreeing to accept Agathian arbitration as a fair and reasonable means to resolve conflicts between law and chaos. Angels. While angels make their homes on all three of the good-aligned outer planes, Nirvana is home to more angels than any other plane, in large part because Nirvana's impartiality to law or chaos makes it the most pleasant realm for many angels to reside within. That one of their most powerful members, the sun goddess Sarenrae, maintains her divine realm here further attracts angels to the plane. The Cleansed. Although all souls shed the memories of their mortal lives upon becoming petitioners, those who become the cleansed embrace this aspect most, and view their transformation into animals, the purest of forms, as a manifestation of their lives starting anew. Yet they maintain their sapience, and in their pursuit of deeper spiritual understanding and communion with Nirvana, grow even more thoughtful and wise. In Blossomheart, Everlight, and other deific realms, petitioners might hold shapes more closely resembling their original bodies, particularly when necessary to pursue pastimes inconvenient for an animal, such as painting or humanoid sports. Yet, even when such a petitioner might appear almost entirely human, it bears a deep adoration and respect for all animal life. Foo creatures. Foo creatures are benevolent guardian spirits that spend their days cavorting in the idyllic wilds or aiding Nirvana's other inhabitants, particularly the Agathians in their work. Yet, while they come from Nirvana, Foo creatures are often encountered on the material plane as well, for they are favored conjurations of many cultures and religions. While Foo dogs and Foo lions are the Foo creatures most commonly summoned to the material plane to serve as guardians, Foo creatures that correspond to every animal exist in the wilds of Nirvana and are the most commonly ascended form of the typical cleansed petitioner. The most powerful Foo creatures are known as the Imperials. As a general rule, each species of animal is represented by one Imperial Foo creature in Nirvana at a time. When such a creature dies, or if it makes an extended visit to another plane, a new Foo creature ascends to the role to fill the vacancy. Peri. A Peri resembles a beautiful albino woman, wreathed in wings of brilliant flame. Peris are contrary, artful celestials, renowned for their beauty as much as their deceptive natures. Mercurial, although never malicious, Peris strive to aid mortals, though they are most likely to dispense riddles and quests than to offer aid outright. These beautiful spirits of freedom and fire are the descendants of fallen angels who work tirelessly to rub the stains of their forefathers' names out, and therefore continue to work at their redemption. Roselings. Roselings are a species of enlightened plants that originally sprang from Blossomheart and have since spread peace and friendship throughout the plane. They share a particular kinship with the Azatas and other visitors from Elysium and often host such outsiders in their homes, serving as guides for them during their stay. Like the other outer planes, Nirvana is home to numerous divinities, and just like in heaven, this includes members of the Imperial Lords, as well as some of the main divinities, including Sarenrae, Shaylin, and Kurges. Important locations in Nirvana include Blossomheart. Shaylin's divine realm is an idyllic valley filled with beautiful gardens, inspiring studios, open-air amphitheaters, and other places to admire, celebrate, and create beauty. Blossomheart is open to any and all visitors who agree to show love and respect to those around them. The most famous garden within the realm is the Eight Rings, a series of 8 concentric gardens, each of which can only be reached through contemplation and realization of the themes of beauty expressed in the previous garden. It is said only Shaylin and 2 others have reached the innermost garden. A vast marble amphitheater in Blossom Heart is often used by imperial lords of Nirvana as a place to gather for grand balls, concerts, and other musical gatherings. Everlight. Sarenrae's realm is a place where no violent thought can exist, and those who would seek to intrude and break this reality find that they cannot enter at all. Everlight simply does not exist to those who seek to do harm within its expanse. Suffused with golden light, Everlight is a realm free of deceit, as lies are physically impossible there. The original homeland of the Perrys, it is a place where servitors of Sarenrae of all stripes can gather and plan their celestial crusades without fear of being overheard by spies or other enemies of the faith. Everlight is visible throughout Nirvana as a gleaming sun in the sky, and its light shines down forever without burning or destroying. An embodiment of all that is good and beneficial about sunlight and the day without any of the disadvantages. The Field of Champions. Also known as Kurges's Field, the Field of Champions is an enormous carnival of games of agility, endurance, skill, and strength, where petitioners and mortals alike compete for eternal claim. Often imperial lords and other demigods seek to participate in the games here, but when they do, they accept voluntary disadvantages so as not to have an entirely unfair advantage over mortal contestants. High Ninshabur. Ruled by the Council of Light and Truth and overseen by the current High Counselor Nadia Haldazai, High Ninshabur acts as a trade hub between Everlight and the rest of Nirvana, and even other planes thanks to the high concentration of innovative healing magic the city produces. From the minarets of High Ninshabur, visitors can look in awe at the radiance of Everlight shining down upon the streets and towers. The city is the largest in Nirvana, and is visible from most vantage points throughout the plain, perched atop the great Dragonmane Mountain, at what is commonly believed to be Nirvana's heart. Lurith. Lurith, the so-called City of the Angelic Host, is a beautiful and breathtaking metropolis of spires built into the side of Dragonmane Mountain. Open only to angels and those who have proven themselves incredible friends and allies to the angelic cause, Lurith is a place for angels from all 3 celestial planes to gather, strategize, hammer out disputes between various choirs, and simply rest and relax for a short while before they return to active duty. Elysium. Elysium is where the souls that Pharasma judges to be chaotic good are sent after judgment. Elysium is beautiful beyond any landscape of the material plane, teeming with rich and vibrant life. By day, a golden sun shines brightly down upon the emerald fields and azure seas, while by night the sky is a sea of glittering stars, escorting a silver moon on its journey. Nothing in Elysium knows much of restraint. Its mountains stretch taller, its oceans yawn deeper than any on the material world, accounting for some of the greatest extremes in elevation in all of the great beyond. Yet these extremes are not limited by material plane realities. The tops of Elysium's tallest mountains have plenty of breathable air, and its deepest oceans still receive ample sunlight. Elysium's denizens include the Azatas. The abundant natives of the plain, none embody Elysium's nature better than the Azatas. Azata culture is passionate and competitive, with honor gained through great accomplishments such as heroic deeds and impressive works of creativity. Despite their fierce independence, Azatas place great stock in community among their own kind. Many Azatas pledge themselves to factions known as courts, such as the Court of the Muse or the Court of the Burning Gale. Befitting the Azata's fickle nature, however, allegiance to a court lasts only until the ruler's whims shift. Angels. As in heaven and Nirvana, angels can be encountered in number in Elysium, be they chaotic good natives of the realm or messengers traveling from elsewhere on divine missions. Of the 3 good-aligned outer planes, though, Elysium hosts the smallest number of angelic natives. The Chosen. The petitioners of Elysium are known as the Chosen, and manifest as idealized versions of their mortal bodies. As a result, Elysian societies often strongly resemble the material plane realms from which their petitioners hail. For example, in the realm of the Elven pantheon, most petitioners appear as elves, and live their afterlives in much the same way that elves live on the material plane. Traditionally, the Chosen are the category of petitioners who most quickly ascend into a higher form of outsider after arrival in the afterlife, in large part due to their affinity to the identity of their idealized self. When such a petitioner ascends, in most cases he does so into a half-celestial version of the race he was when alive. Such half-celestials may then at a later date ascend once more into actual angels, azatas, or other outsiders, but many live out the rest of their afterlives in their new but familiar forms. The Elysian Titans. Among the mightiest of the Promised Land's outsider races, the Elysian Titans retire to the plane after the ancient war that turned them against their now imprisoned Thanatotic kin in the Abyss. The Elysian Titans are great lovers of the arts, and often depart their opulent mountaintop villas and floating palaces for the lands below in search of new wonders to enjoy. Like the other outer planes, Elysium is home to numerous divinities, and this includes both members of the Imperial Lords, as well as some of the main divinities, including Calistria, Caden Kalian, Gorum, Milani, and almost all of the Elven pantheon, and even most of the Giant pantheon. The goddess Desna also often manifests her deific realm, the crystalline mountain palace of sevenfold cynosure, in Elysium, although as a goddess of travel, she is just as often found elsewhere. Important locations in Elysium include the Clashing Shore. As its name implies, Gorum's domain is a massive battlefield that stretches along one border between Elysium and the shores of the Maelstrom. The Clashing Shore is peppered with keeps under continual siege or in constant states of repair and refortification, with battles raging day and night throughout the realm. Here the chosen of Gorum can engage in battle without beginning or end, without reason or resolution, focused only on blood, steel, and the heady violence of war. There is little welcome to be found here for travelers, but those willing to prove themselves in the heat of combat may be accepted after a fashion, and there are few finer places in all the goodly plains to hone one's mastery of battle. Gorum himself disdains thrones and courts. The god strides the shore in colossal form, turning the tide of battle unpredictably wherever he goes. Ilarion. The domain of the Elven pantheon, Ilarion is barely distinguishable from the forests and fields beyond its borders. But the deeper into this realm one travels, the more sculpted and engineered the landscape grows. It isn't quite clear when the transition from wilderness to civilization takes place, but those who reach the sprawling heart of Ilarion could not mistake the realm for anything but the city it truly is. Calistria's domain within Ilarion is relatively small, although her palace nevertheless sprawls larger than the largest structures on the material plane. This palace stands at the center of the so-called Gardens of Deceits and Delight, an ever-shifting hedge maze and deceptively deadly paradise whose winding paths often extend far from Ilarion's borders. To those who know the routes, these pathways can be used as hidden entrances into Ilarion, although those who take advantage of the gardens in this way to bring unwanted mayhem may find themselves the targets of Calistria's unstoppable vengeance. The Emerald Song. The wandering city of Emerald Song is not a traditional city at all. Rather, it is a gathering of thousands of Lillands encompassing dozens of kinships. When Emerald Song settles in a region to rest, often only briefly by their standards, and never in the same place twice, the Azata's collective magic creates a temporary township of pavilions, forums, and exotic open-air buildings formed of magical blown glass, stone, wood, and stranger substance. A festival atmosphere pervades Emerald Song during periods of settlement, as the Lillands revel in the sharing of exotic artwork, fine food and drink, performances, tales, and other pursuits. At such times, visitors from across the plains are drawn to the city's wondrous sights, and even mighty deities don humble disguises to see wonders from Elysium and beyond. Hero's Heart. While the elven realm of Ilarion is difficult to find even to those who devote their lives to seeking it out, Caden Kalian's realm is almost annoyingly simple to reach. In maps of Elysium, Hero's Heart is often depicted at the center of the Promised Land. This is not because Hero's Heart is one of the oldest locations in Elysium, it is in fact among the newer sites, nor because it is a site of immense power, but simply because it has a way of seeming to put itself in the traveler's path. Azatas, petitioners, and all manner of other wanderers congregate here, for Hero's Heart welcomes all who seek camaraderie, glory, or even just rest from the wearisome road. Caden himself can be found in any part of his domain, sharing in the pleasures and challenges of the realm. Jotengard. The sprawling realm of Jotengard is composed of immense buildings and oversized terrain, all forever adrift on a continent-sized bank of solid clouds. Here the majority of the giant pantheon rules over an empire of half-celestial giants ascended from the Chosen. Smaller folk are tolerated only on the fringes of Jotengard, and even then only if they bring important trade, valuable information, or especially silvered tongues. Now and then, Jotengard drifts entirely out of Elysium to coast above the Maelstrom, typically during times of great internal conflict among the resident giants. Axis. Axis is where the souls that Pharasma judges to be lawful neutral are sent after judgment. Axis is a bastion of immutable law, set against the ever-crashing tide of pure chaos that is the Maelstrom. From the outside, Axis appears as a pristine city, surrounded by a wall of gold amid a demolished wasteland littered with ancient skeletal corpses of titans left over from a war during the Age of Creation. Known as the Eternal City, the Perfect City, or even Utopia, Axis is actually millions of separate cities folded and layered atop, within, and around one another in an elegantly arrayed masterpiece of architecture and city planning. Many of the city districts within Axis are either a deity's domain or the remnants of a domain of a deceased deity. Magical portals at major crossroads connect the countless cities, aiding in navigation and travel. Axis's denizens include Aphorites and Axiomites. The first inhabitants of the perfect city were the Axiomites, humanoid incarnations of the god mind that brought the city into existence so long ago. Axiomites are Axis's architects and caretakers, and they are the most populous of the realm's inhabitants, whereas Aphorites are mortal incarnations of the same ideal. Unlike their immortal counterparts, most Aphorites travel to other planes and worlds, either intentionally or accidentally. Apkallis. The Axiomites are not the only physical manifestation of the god mind, nor are they the most powerful. As the scope and size of Axis and its laws grew, so too did the need for a dedicated race of guardians and caretakers of those laws. The mythic Apkallis were the result. While they remain rare sights in the city, their influence is felt every day when historians, judges, or scholars research or record lore about Axis. In times of great need, the Apkallis rise up to defend the city, stepping beyond their role as mere archivists. Few who have faced even a single Apkallu in combat would think to cross one again. Inevitables. The Inevitables are a created race, yet they live and think. They share many features with constructs, but each is a specific individual. Originally created by the Axiomites long ago, in response to a Protean assault on Axis, the Inevitables today serve as Axis's guardians, patrolling its streets and defending its portals and walls, or acting as agents of law across the planes. Mercanes. Although Axis hosts a mind-numbing array of merchants of an equally mind-numbing collection of races, the Mercanes are the most ubiquitous of the city's traders. It seems likely that the first Mercanes arrived at Axis to establish trade routes from elsewhere, but where that elsewhere may have been is unknown. One popular theory, particularly among the Mercanes themselves, speaks of a lost demiplane within the astral plane that they were forced to abandon. No matter where they came from originally, today the Mercanes are every bit the natives of Axis, and embody the notion of mercantilism and economy with every fiber of their being. Axis is also the home of many divinities, some of whom control significant reaches of the plane. But despite the use of the word God in its name, the oldest presence in Axis, the god mind itself, may not truly be a god, or even strictly speaking an entity at all. Its capacity to act and react is manifest in the actions and reactions of the Axiomites. It would not be entirely inaccurate to consider the Axiomite race as a whole to be the god mind, and that when the god mind manifests as the threefold pillar, it is but a powerful reflection of the combined subconscious persona of the entire Axiomite race. Other divinities found in Axis beyond the god mind include Abadar, Bry, Irori, Lissala, and curiously, even the dark god Norgorber. Important locations in Axis include Acton. Acton is one of the largest of Axis's districts, and it serves as both the divine realm of Abadar and the capital of the City of Cities. The streets of Acton are laid out in a combination of concentric circles crossed by spoke-like avenues radiating out from the first vault at Acton's core. While all the districts of Axis are open to travelers from across the plains, with Proteans being the notable singular exception, Acton is perhaps the district that is friendliest to mortal visitors. Abadar's influence ensures that this is a place that mortals can come for inspiration in building their own cities, without worrying about the dangers intrinsic to planar travel. The first vault at the center of Acton is Abadar's personal palace, a sprawling structure of amphitheaters, factories, guild halls, monuments, treasuries, and more. While all who want to may visit the first vault, entrance is regulated by 4 access points in its encircling walls. Deep within the first vault lies a repository of the perfect version of every type of creature and object, the treasury of the god of wealth. Access to this treasury is controlled by Abadar himself. The citadel of resplendent clockwork. The personal domain of Bry, goddess of invention, is directly accessible from Acton via a set of clockwork portals. From the exterior, the citadel of resplendent clockwork is a 2,000-foot-tall marble and metal building that mixes more conventional, from a Galarian-centric point of view, Gothic architecture with a wide array of more unusual styles derived from a handful of other material plane worlds. Dusk Fathom. Below the streets of Acton sprawls a twisting labyrinth of catacombs and sewer tunnels that connect the hidden subterranean city of Dusk Fathom. This haunting metropolis is the divine realm of Norgorber, and is to access what any black market or undercity is to a surface city on a material plane world. Portals within Dusk Fathom connect directly to the upper layers of Hell, Abaddon, and the Abyss, serving as a convenient backdoor for many denizens of the evil-aligned planes to do hidden work within Axis. Dusk Fathom's buildings claw up from the cavernous depths, where luminous factory runoff breeds degenerate mutants and other magical abominations, while more pristine structures hang like geometric stalagmites from vaulted ceilings. The Empty Court. Known today as the Empty Court, this ruined district was once the domain of Aradin, Galarian's now deceased god of humanity. In the wake of Aradin's death, the Axiomite godmind convened a secret council, irrespective of the deities present in Axis. Over the course of 3 days, the factories of Axis came to a halt, and the threefold pillar burned brightly as the godmind struggled to adjust its computations for this unpredicted event. In the long, slow century that followed, Aradin's realm continued to remain empty, and has since fallen into ruin, still unabsorbed by the rest of the plane. The Serene Circle. Irori's domain in Axis is an understated open-air plaza of circular shapes that measures roughly 4 miles across. The circle features tranquil fountains, reflecting pools, and immaculate gardens. Visitors to the Serene Circle find their emotions are dulled, if not muted, a condition that followers of Irori value for its aid in achieving heightened states of meditative concentration. Irori's silent enforcers police the few rules of the circle, most of which ensure no noise or other disruptions bother the guests. The Wasteland. Beyond Axis lies the Wasteland, an inhospitable realm of crumbling ruins that, while not technically part of the city of Axis, is a part of the plane as a whole. The Wasteland serves as a borderland between Axis and the Maelstrom, appearing as a barren desert of rainbow-flecked crystalline sand, strewn through with the colossal remains of titans that were slain there during the primordial war with the gods. Here, dangerous intruders from the Maelstrom can often be found lurking amid the ruins.
Thanks for watching! So, we're almost finished with my series on the planar cosmology. Next time on this series, we're going to be talking about the evil planes and the chaotic planes. So that'll be a lot of fun. If you enjoyed this content, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.